Hello and welcome. For those of you who are catching me now or catching me later, we're going to edit that out. And I was just talking about how we're building the software as a service, right? That's going to allow you to convert any file to any file. Most commonly, that's going to be images or document types. But also we want to expand that, and for the lulls and for perhaps sometimes convenience, being able to actually convert something like a Word document into an audio file, or even go as far as to try and convert something into like a video, right? Now, all these conversions might not be great. They, will have some resounding level of success. Sometimes there's just only so much you can do. But the idea is that we will be able to make that better over time. And so you can convert anything into anything. And how that works is we have a graph of converters, which can convert between file types. And when you want to convert something that isn't directly connected, we'll create a path through the converters to go from one type to another via a couple of other types. And so by building out like this sort of graph of converters, we'll be able to do anything to anything. So that's kind of where we are. Where we left off last week is we had created the basic building blocks of this software as a service. Now, the source code's not open because I am aiming to try and sell this at one point. The goal here is to build a SaaS, get people to use it, and then sell it, right? So in order to do that, the source code is not currently open. But if anyone's interested in any part of this, I can make separate videos about how I'm going to be doing some of this stuff. And also, if like you just wanted to, follow along and look at the code, then you can try and like kind of build some of this thing yourself. So that's where we kind of left off. Let me switch over to the coding view and we can dive in. Today is going to be all about building out the user experience. So we're going to be doing a lot of front end stuff to really make whatever, the user experience fantastic, because that's going to be a huge part of this SaaS. People are going to show up and give you one chance to convert a file. And if you can do that, then you might be able to get them to come back. And if you can't do that effectively, then they're never going to try again, right? So we have like one chance most of the time for these users to just make something absolutely phenomenal. So let's go ahead and make this round. So this is kind of where we left off user experience wise. I can probably make myself a little bigger, honestly. What if we do that? Whoop. Right. So I was joking on Twitter or X or whatever the heck it's called that, hey Saber, welcome, that this is, what an MVP looks like. And it's about as absolutely god awful as you can imagine, but it does the trick, right? And so if you choose a file, this is running locally. So we have to run our converter locally. Let's see. Right, so this is how we run the converter locally. Here, where we make it explode. Oh, we need to run our database. Let's get the database running. And then we can do Prisma push. And this will just be local. Nope, that's not local. So we will export that and then do push to get it into our local database. Try that. There we go, localhost. Now we have our local database set up, and now we can try this again. Welcome. All right, so now we're running zero conversions, right? So locally, we have this, and we can choose a file to upload. So something like, I had something silly lying around. Here we go. This was my package that was failed to deliver. So what.jpg, and then to change it, right, you have to actually select like what format you want it to be in based on the meme type. And so it's not a great user experience right now, and you click upload. If you go to the network tab, you can see that it totally failed. Why did it fail? Welcome. This is all correct. To image preview. What do we got? Oh, we're not running. That's why. Try that again. Refresh. Choose your file. What? And we're going to do to a PNG right from a JPEG. Click upload. That worked this time. Here's your 200 OK. And then you can check the conversion, and it did the conversion. And then we click download, and it downloads. Chrome now has this up here. Thanks, Chrome. Got it. Thanks. And so now we have this, and do this, and here's our PNG. Ta-da! See, PNG, barely. So that's, basically what our user experience is right now, which is about as bad as you can get, but it works. The important thing is that it's functional, right? That's really what we're aiming for, the fact that it does what it needs to do. So we're going to try and make this much, much better, and that's what the goal is today. So for our user experience, for getting this to a place where you could show it to somebody and they would actually know what to do, we need to have it kind of look good and clearly say what the site does. So people are going to land on it, and we need to tell them that we can convert any file to any file. Now, it won't be true to start. We basically only can convert pictures right now, but we'll get there. So we'll keep the tagline as the tagline. That's the lofty goal. And we probably won't share the site, the SaaS app, for quite a while, right? Until we can build up that sort of level of trust in the service. Hey, Eduardo, welcome, welcome. We are working on the user experience today. So we need to say what exactly this website does, and then we need to give them a clear call to action, right? So if someone lands on this, most likely from Google, or someone sent them a link, convert anything to anything, they are going to want to know exactly what to do next. And so we'll give them a big clear button to be able to click to say, like, select the file you want to convert. And then once they've selected the file, we will be able to say, okay, what do you want to convert this to? And so we'll have to build out that part of the user experience. And then they will click upload when they're all set. We will do the conversion, and then they can download their file. So like all that's just going to happen on the homepage. They don't need to log in. They don't need to have a user account. They don't need to do any of this stuff. We just want to capture like that use case as the core use case. And we'll probably spend quite a bit of time on that, iterating and iterating and iterating. And we'll see how far we get. So let's go ahead and kind of build some of this out. So we're going to do all this in the app directory, right? And so here's our index page. Wow, that should not be an error. Let's go ahead and restart Visual Studio Code because no. Document, projects, I think it's just called converter, yeah. Sometimes Visual Studio Code just does the stupidest things. There we go, look, a new version. All right, cool. So our homepage right now just says home, and it has the upload form. So one thing that we're gonna want to do is we're gonna want to allow the user to drag and drop, but not every device can do that, right? If you're on your phone and you want to convert something, you also need to be able to support just clicking the button. So we just have both of these use cases. And I think the best drag and drop upload thing is like React drop something, Dropzone, React Dropzone, one of those libraries. So we'll do that so a user can kind of drag anything onto it and also choose it. So let's go ahead and just start building out some of this and make it look a little better. Now, of course, the first thing that kind of happens when I start thinking about building this is A, what UI library are we going to use? And then B, what is our brand and where does that come into play? And for the name, what I've currently settled on as the name for the SaaS, and we'll use this in all the branding, is Recast. So the name of the project and the public name is going to be Recast, and the domain, because I can't buy recast.com, is going to be recastfile.com. And for now, we will just kind of have the file suffix. And, when we make $1 billion, then we're going to buy recast.com. So we'll see, if we get there. So, but we can use that sort of in our branding for building out this entire thing. So let's go ahead and just kind of start hacking away at this. I don't really have a clear, very, very obvious, clear way of what this is going to look like. Although I do think it's going to be kind of smart to start with how it looks on mobile. So there's 100%, make this a little bigger for everyone here, right? Like when you go to the website, a lot of people will be on mobile regardless. And if we start with mobile, I think it's going to be helpful for building out the core of the website. The homepage is going to have to be action. Here are things you can do. And the homepage is also going to need to be some amount of marketing and trust building, right? People land on the site and they're like, oh, I don't know about this. We need to convince them in seconds that they can trust our service to convert their files successfully, easily, and with as much privacy and protection and security as we can give them, right? All of these things are very important. So let's go ahead and just start building this out and kind of see how far we get. So we are going to remove the upload form for now, and we're going to say, we're going to try that as our tagline here. Let's put this into, this is going to be kind of both, right? So let's go ahead and build this out into a hero section, which is going to have this sort of information. And then here, we'll do a container, but I don't know if we're going to keep it because we might want something actually a little thinner than that. And so we're using Tailwind for all the styling, right? And so we're going to do text. Let's make it big, 4XL, font. We'll do bold and and then text center. All right, good. And then here, let's do massive padding on the top and the bottom. Hey, new subscriber, welcome to the channel. If you're watching, hope you enjoy. We are building out our user experience and hoping it's really good. So convert anything to anything. It's kind of the call to action here, right? And we actually, there's a new Tailwind class, right? For balance, text balance? No, can we do that yet? I guess it's not really supported. CSS text balance. Yeah. Text wrap balance. So I think we can do this. Check that out. So text wrap balance, as you can kind of see in this blog post, it's super new, so we're gonna have to figure out a couple of different ways to do this. But it basically allows you to have the text be more balanced in terms of its wording and not have so many things just on the next line, right? So it ends up looking like this, where the text is balanced across both lines, which is great for, something like this, where we want it to read better. So that's cool. We might need to fix this because that's not supported on everything. If you do that on iOS, I think it just explodes, or it doesn't explode. It just doesn't look as good, right? For this, we're going to add in the anti-aliased, which is going to make our text sharper. And I can notice a difference, so we're definitely going to do it. We're going to want some sort of background color, and probably want some color on some of this font as well. However, I don't know exactly what I want that to look like, so we're going to stay away from adding too much color to start with. Back to just like most things will be black and white. Now, what I do want to do is I want to add a call to action. So we want to be able to drag and drop something in here. And this is probably going to be like the upload UI right here in the hero section. And then we will, have more content below the fold. But if you just showed up here, convert anything to anything. Maybe it's convert any file to anything. Maybe that's a little better. I want it to be slightly smaller here. I want file up on that line, but whatever, we'll fix that later. Convert any file to anything. That's kind of like the goal, right? So let's go ahead and do React drop file. Yep, React Dropzone is what we're looking for here. So this is all our lovely React hook. Let's go ahead and add this to our project. Foreground, come back, close, PMP, add React Dropzone. All right, I've used this before, but I haven't used it recently. You can either use the hook. So on drop, we have the files do something, Dropzone, or you can use the wrapper, which I think we just want to use the hook. This is definitely going to be a client sort of component, but this is going to be a server component. So let's go ahead and copy this in. So the form itself, right? Div input get it. We want the form to be a server component as much as possible. We do want this, so we want this one, right? So let's go ahead. We're probably going to use this in a bunch of places, is my guess, across the application. So if we add a component upload file, right? This can be the form that we're going to be doing here. So here we have React Dropzone. Hey, welcome once again. I should probably have my stream thing up. Welcome, new subscriber to the channel. Gonna sign right in here. Dashboard. Cesare, thank you. And then before, Leandro, thank you for subscribing. So we're guessing this is a file. And so this is a file type, right? And so now we can do kind of whatever we want. We may or may not do this. And so here, use client, we're gonna do that. So let's see here. What we kind of want, this is where things get tricky, right? What we have here is, this is like the page, but we want the entire page to be a form at its highest sort of level. Now we could do that by putting a form at like the root, which seems like it'll be okay here. Or we can do that by trying to like overlay a form element and make it absolute position. But I think it's just gonna make the most sense actually to have the drop zone be like the entire page, right? And so if we do like page Dropzone as this, and do they have an example of this being a form? It's kind of my question. Killian as always. Thanks, Alexander. Thank you. Bum, 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 bum. It's kind of interesting they don't have this actually within a form for the drop zone, right? Like none of these things, maybe it doesn't matter at all. They're just like that. So maybe I don't need to care that much about this, right? Except basic, no JSX, no plugins, previews, styling. None of this seems better. Let's just go ahead and do it the way I think it should work, and we'll see if it actually does that. So what I want is I want all this to be within a form, and then this is going to take in children, and we're just gonna pass this through. And so now we can probably wire up the form submission. So we'll kind of see this. So page drop zone. So we go back to our page. This is a client component, but we should be able to pass server components through the client component. So here we have main. That's fine. Although, no, I think we're actually going to do this, right? We're going to do this. So we're going to, hello. We need to export it. Export, and then we can import you here. So, all right, let's see how we did. We need to refresh the page. Off topic, we wanted to know if there's a possibility for you to create a video around intercepting routes, parallel routes, and modals. Big, clunky to figure out. I'm gonna take that and add it to Notion, Alexander, and I will see what I can do. I have a list of like YouTube videos I want to make, and I will add that straight to it. Parallel routes. Do you have, just to help me out, what are you kind of building or your use case for the parallel routes in particular? Because I've gone through their docs and seen kind of how they use them, like a dashboard that has like 2 different routes in it. But I'm wondering what you're building so I can try to like tune, you know, what exactly, how this might work. So let me know. Okay, so if we look at our DOM now, right, we have a form that is just everything inside the body. And then here we have multiple files, style, display, none. So we're hiding the input for it. And then we have the rest of the main. The main still takes up everything, so that's good. And we have our sections. So this is kind of working the way I want it to. And we'll be able to handle the form upload in a couple places probably. So now, interestingly, so I don't want to have happen, right? Here's this div. If you click anywhere now, you get the file upload, right? So it's like, oh, you want to upload a file. And it's like, okay, well, I don't think I actually want that. I think I only want that to happen when you click the button. So let's go ahead and add a button. If we're adding a button, that means we need a button framework. So what we're going to use here is, I actually wrote about this in my newsletter. We're going to use Next UI. So let's give this UI framework a chance. Okay, I know all of you love Shad UI. I love Shad UI too. Okay, it's great. But Next just came out with version 2, and I want to play around with this. So version 2, they rewrote the entire thing, and now it's using Tailwind. So they're using Tailwinds for everything, and they're also using React Aria under the hood. And I'm a big fan of React Aria. I think Radix is also a great UI toolkit sort of library. But this is kind of like something that I would aspire to build myself. And so we're going to play around with this and see what we think, okay? We don't need to stick with it forever, whatever. But I think their components are pretty good, and it's going to be, right, so you have like badges, maybe, badges, that sort of stuff. You have your avatars, as you'd expect, right? This kind of just works the way you would imagine it to. Avatar groups, avatar icons. I think their buttons are not as good as mine, obviously. But, you know, here you have a button. It goes in, it goes out. You can cancel it, right? It does all the stuff that we wanted to do with React Aria. And it has this little ripple effect, which, like, I'm not a huge fan of, but I also don't hate. And so, you know, I wanna play around with this. My friend played around with it a little bit, and it seemed like it looked pretty good. So I wanna go ahead and give it a try. So we're just gonna do it. So we don't need that. Okay, manual installation, copy. See, and they use Framer Motion. Like, it's pretty good. Next UI is my first contact UI library. Is happy with this new update from them. Yeah, Eduardo. Yeah. Again, like, it uses some of the best libraries out there, right? You can't go that wrong. It's using Tailwind, it's using React Aria. Let's give it a try. And we can always just change it later, which is something I think people forget. Where nothing is set in stone, and if we decide it's not doing what we need it to do, well, that's fine. We'll just change it up. Let's see. We'll do dark mode class, and we will add in their plugin. We can just delete that. All right. Okay. And now they have a provider. So let's go ahead and just copy this. App providers. And now in our layout, right, we can do this. Cool. And then we add it to the root. We already did that. Class name, we're going to leave this out for right now. I think the default's going to be light. We will do dark mode and light mode at one point here because, again, we're trying to make this, like, you know, as user-friendly as possible. Our users are going to be technical people, they're going to be regular people, and if they have their device set to dark mode, we want to respect that. So we're just going to leave it by the default for right now. All right, and so now we can do like a button. So let's go ahead and restart our dev server. See if anything explodes after doing all that. Looks like we're okay. And let's see, close all this. So now on our page, we can do something, right? Like, all right, what do we got here? Cannot find, I think we can just do, right, what did we install? We installed that, so we should just be able to import everything, button, click to convert file. We're gonna have to work on our wording quite a bit here because things that I find to be obvious are not necessarily things that our audience is going to find. Okay, so our button needs to be a client component because it uses use effect. So here, I'm just wondering if it will show me. So let's see. Let's go ahead and do, I guess we can make the entire hero section a client component. No, I don't think I want to do that. Let's do client. Let's see if this makes sense. So what we're trying to do is we want as much of the homepage to be a server component as possible. And we're obviously going to have to play around with this. Oh, no, okay. This is what? Build, Webpack, post CSS, blah, 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 blah. Okay, give me more space here. What's going on? Next UI is not defined. That seems like an interesting error. What is happening here? Reference error. Next UI is not defined. Okay. You need to import the component from the individual package, not from next. Okay. Interesting. Okay. npm rc file. Okay. The journey continues, friends. Okay. Now run npm install again. Okay, what do we got here? So we did that, we did this, we did this, we did this, we did this, we installed that. We did this, we installed the provider, but now we need to import from here. Now you can import any next.UI component without needing to use client directive. Okay. So we should be able to, if we go back to our code, do this. Okay, you're still yelling at me though. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, what is this? Yes. Do it. Reinstall. Hey, Rubens, no worries. My timing was all messed up to get this going, so apologies for starting the stream chaotically. Okay, we have reinstalled everything. We have our next.UI org React. That's all good. Prisma regenerated. Good. Okay. Now this has exploded. So let's just quit you and do code insiders. Try this. Wait for it. Okay. Still have this error. Now you can import any next.UI component directly. Note, you need to import the component from the individual package. Does that mean we have to install the individual packages? That's my question. This is the app directory setup. Yeah. Let's go ahead. We can always look at their code, right? And so if we look at their package.json, yeah, okay. So they do have each of these as a separate thing. That's a little annoying. I don't really want to have to install every single one of these. But we'll see. We'll see what we like here. Parallel routes, I'm trying to update backend data through the front end and have a dashboard UI to reflect it instantaneous. Half page update, other half showing the data. Okay, so if I understand correctly, you kind of have two routes. One, let's say on the left is like the upload and the user can upload stuff. And then the one on the right shows the data that they've uploaded. as they kind of go. Is that correct? I really like Tailwind UI, but you have to pay for most of it, Lucky Strike. Yeah, I mean, I do pay for Tailwind UI. I have got my account and everything. I really want, actually, for Tailwind UI to release their Catalyst update, in which it's basically going to be something like Shad UI, but it's built by the Tailwind team, and it looks sweet. That's kind of what I want to use, but it's not ready yet, so here we are. Here we are making do, hacking away with user interfaces around and kind of figuring it out. All right, so now we have our button. Now it should be working. Refresh, let's see what we get here. Okay, still have a error. Next UI is not defined in app globals. Now I think we added, that's all fine. We added it to our Tailwind configuration. Oh, we didn't add it to our Tailwind configuration? Next UI, what happened there? Guys, you gotta catch me on this. Ad providers, Tailwind. How come that's not like an error? It's weird. Try that again. Just keep iterating. All right. Convert any file to anything. Nice. Okay. Now we are getting somewhere. So we can now do some theming here real quick. Let's see. Okay, we did that. Light, dark. Colors. Okay. Default theme. Theme options. Nested themes. I wonder if that, so like if you look at their, what we're trying to do, right? If you look at their button, right? Here they have color primary. So that's, you know, it gives you a blue button. And so if you go to our page and we do color primary, we have a blue button, okay? But I might want a different color. I might want a green button or something to that effect. And so I kind of want to replace my, I don't need to like customize it like that. I just want color primary, customizing colors, modify the primary and focus colors. This can be added by adding the following: plugins, next, themes, dark. We'll probably do themes light, primary, default, focus. Okay. Button uses primary color and variant solid or, oh God. That's a beautiful color, eh? Maybe we'll just customize this all a little later. Right now, right? Because like their code for colors, primary is blue, secondary is purple. It's not great, but we'll just do primary, I guess. And this is what it looks like with a, wow, very bright light UI. But we'll do that. Okay, so, oh my God, we need to fix this. So for our layout, components, upload form. Here we have our get root props, which is clearly basically doing it has a style, whatever. Whenever you click on the background, it uploads, and that is just killing me. The hook doesn't set any styles, so you can basically just set whatever styles you want. This is just using, looks like CSS perf on that. So I wonder if we can do, if it accepts class name. It does. So let's say, right, we want is focus, drag, accept, drag, reject, although we're never gonna reject it. So now we can, they have defined style. I don't think we necessarily need to memorize it, right? They're only accepting images. We're going to accept everything. So the base style they have is like a whole bunch of border stuff, but we kind of just want is focus, I think, and do something like they do this as what all, yeah, just types, focus, style, border, color. Gotta bounce. Thank you, Lucky Strike. All right, we can just, oh, you know what we should do? Oh, that actually worked. Cool. So, let's see. So here, if we grab a downloads, let's add a new folder just for my sanity testing. And we'll do like, we'll add what to it? Boop. Right, so here, right, you can see that we got the plus on the mouse, although I'm not getting my role, but it is, let's see, class input file display. We want is drag active? Maybe that's what we want. Right? Are they actively dragging? False, true. False, false. Yeah, there we go. That's what we want. Always look at the docs. Right, so we have is drag active, accept, reject. Is file dialog active? That's interesting. Didn't even know you could get that information. Files, input ref. Okay, so we want this actually for that. So let's go ahead and try that. So now if we drag and drop something, ooh, look at it. You got that blue border. You got that blue off, on, off, on, off, on. So what we can do is whole bunch of fun stuff. Now let's see what I really want. This div get root props is good. Input props or click to select files. So if you're clicking, it's got to be on the div. So let's go check out the props, because the Dropzone options, these are all fine. Prevent drop, no, we want that. No click, I think, is what we actually want. We want no click. Because that's just way too annoying. No click, true. I love Shad UI. I think Shad UI is fantastic. I think the fact that you can pull in the code and change stuff is very, very nice. I want to just play around with a couple other UI frameworks, you know, to kind of see what is good out there, what makes sense. I think this button is pretty good, and we are pretty close to actually getting this to do exactly what we want. So we got rid of the click, no keyboard, no drag. We want all that. And then on drop, we want to keep accepted, get files, auto focus. We don't want that to be true. So what I kind of want was a way to call maybe I need to do Dropzone ref and open. Maybe that's what we need to do here. Prevent on drop get files. I suppose we actually like right, we want that to open the file dialog now, which, right, if we just change it to an input, does that work the way we want it to? This is where, let's go ahead and do flex call and so here we want to figuring out the APIs here, right? If you omit rendering an input and or binding, opening a file dialog will not be possible. Well, we definitely want that. So still want to be able to do that. Here we can do refs. I don't need that. If you're using Dropzone component though, you can use the ref prop on the component itself. It's not quite what we want. Uppee.io. I'll have to check out what that is. Interesting. If you bind Okay, there we go. That's what we want. On click open, open. So well, we'll just take this, move it over here, and then we can get right open from that, and we'll just toss this here right now to see if this works, which it should. Import it. All right, so now if we click this, on click open, this is what we want, right? Refresh. Yeah. All right. Woo. Okay. We have a lot of state that's about to be moving around. But this is going to be pretty good. So this is the home page, and you can now drag and drop anything onto it. Woo! Right, and anything within the form, which is going to be everything in this root div, is going to allow it. And we'll probably just use the clients. Maybe we don't even need the form here. We won't do that. So we can do like this and this and this and this and this and this. Right, so now everything, right. So basically anywhere on this page, you'll be able to like drag and drop it, like anywhere. Of course, that begs the question of, if you scroll down the page and then you wanted to drag and drop something, do we let you? We'll figure that out later. Maybe we just keep it to like the top hero section, because that's like what 99% of people are gonna do, right? So you boop, whoop, 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 whoop. So then you drag and drop something onto it. And if you're on a mobile device, right, you can just click to upload, and it's gonna ask you for a file. And so you'll be able to like select your picture or something. And then we need to kind of go into the user interface for, you know, like, okay, we have the file. Now there's a bunch of these converters out there, right? I was just on, what was it, convert.io? Like here's a random one, right? And it's like, this feels like it was made in 2010, 2014. You know, here's your file converter. And so it's fine. And when you choose a file, let's choose our what file, right? Make it a little bigger, right? Kind of like, okay, cool. Like here's what you have, you know, and what do you want to convert it to? And so, boop, you know, and it like updates that and big button. But you have like basically like this very straightforward UI for like this to, you know, whatever. You know, they let you do quite a few things, but not everything. And they kind of redirect your, which is a little interesting, right? JPEG ICO or like JPEG to PNG kind of redirects the page to the specific page. And yeah, so that's like what that UI looks like. I know Zamzar is another one, right? Blah, blah, blah. This also looks like it was made in 2000. And so you can, right, choose this, and then again you have like this. I guess does it upload immediately? What's happening? I don't. Oh, I see it. It's up here. So this, you have to, interesting, and then you can be like, okay, image formats, right? So like we'll do PNG, and then convert now. Right, so like this and this is kind of separated. So I don't know what happens when you upload multiple things. And then the rest of the page is just like random stuff. So that's their user interface. But I think it's gonna make sense, right, to have just like, you know, the file. Maybe we could even get like a little icon of like what the file is, that'd be sweet, right? File size maybe, and then like what you want to convert it to is probably like, we want all this to be inline here. So when you click to upload and you select your thing, Ethan, download, Shadcn, right? You select it. It's like, okay, cool. Like you're going to have a user interface that kind of shows up. And we'll have to, I don't know, figure out exactly what that looks like. But to continue using Next UI, let's see, does any of these make the most sense? Progress is going to be good. We want that. But I guess we just want to make like our own list. I don't think we really want an accordion for any of this, right? That doesn't quite make sense. All right, so let's go ahead and just kind of hack around what this looks like. Nothing important happening there. So we have quite a bit going on in terms of like where the state and everything is. So the entire page is a drop down, and then we have the hero section within. And the hero section has the title, but we can move that out if we want. Let's move the button out. And then we kind of want like an upload. That's definitely going to be a client component because we don't need it to exist quite yet. And so if we have our page drop down, how much of this do we put here, right? Or do we just pass in, right, the on drop, which I think is going to be a little better to start. Hey Samrat, welcome. We are building out the UI for our converter SaaS. Right, so my drop down here, do something with the files, on drop, but I think we just want to move this actually out and then have accepted files moved out and then build our own UI here. So let's go ahead and do just like export const. Let's do, it's not an upload button, it's like staged files, right? That's kind of what it is. And then type staged files props. We'll have the files and we'll just pass them in. And so right, so we can map the files. Files could have the same name, so using that is probably not the best thing to do. So for now, we'll do the key, which is the index, right? And this is gonna be file name, and we'll just make this a little ugly to start, right? And file size. And then we can have like the action probably for this entire thing, which is gonna upload it and it's gonna hit our API. So here are the staged files. So if our form on the page Dropzone here, if we give this the state, we have to make this into a client component. Here we kind of want the staged, right, files. So is there any way we can kind of tie all this together without making the entire thing? Guess not really. So if we do that, then we can do const use state. What would you recommend to someone who is specifically focusing on creating reusable components and UI creation? I guess in what way, Samrat? Specifically focusing on creating reusable components, like within a project or something you wanted to share on NPM or more publicly. What's sort of your angle for building out these reusable components within a project? So there's two things to think about. One is just like, I would probably place them in some sort of components folder, right? So here we have components that we're going to be sharing across different parts of the project. And if they're all UI components, you can do stuff within like the UI folder. And that's a good place to sort of put this. And then you can just pull them in from within the app or the pages directory or whatever else you're kind of doing. And then always think about the API boundaries. This is true for basically everything, but how are they going to be used and consumed? What makes the most sense for properties that have to be passed in and what the component does? And try to allow them to be as composable as possible. So people that aren't you but using these components can kind of tie them together in ways that you didn't necessarily imagine, but that they can be basically composed in new ways that you didn't think of that use case before, right? Have each component kind of do one good thing that you want it to do. And you can look at like UI libraries, right? Like here's next.js, and each of these like components, they're all UI components, but they're all doing one thing. And they're just doing one thing really, really well. And the API is like, oh, here's like any sort of keys you can add, but then like the children could be anything you wanted, not just necessarily a string, right? So that's kind of how I approach it. So if we now do Dropzone here, and on drop can actually just be, I think, moved into the page level. We don't need to read it, so now we can just do set files. And now we can pass it in here. So now we can set the files, and then when we eventually need to, we can upload them. So have you ever hosted Next.js 13 app in cPanel? I haven't specifically done it in cPanel, but I've run most of the time. If I'm not running my Next app on Vercel, I will Dockerize it and run it within Docker. Not to say like you can't just run it as a Node app and like execute next start, but the thing that really you need to be most careful of is how are you going to restart that process when that process fails. And so if you Dockerize it, then Docker, the daemon, will restart it if the process exits, which is really nice with like -- restart always. So that's typically what I do. It also gives me a lot more control over the environment, and I can just tweak anything I need to in the Docker image as opposed to mucking around on the server. But it should run fine if you just kind of execute it with cPanel. I don't anticipate anything crazy there. Okay, so we have our files, we have this, we have our staged files. So now, in theory, if we go ahead and drag and drop something, there we go, we get our list of the files, right? Which is excellent. Let's just go ahead and, okay, yeah, whoop, whoop, whoop. So instantly we have that, and we can also do in staged files, we can do file.type, which will give us the type, image.jpg, right? And so now we can have the key information, which is going to be upload it to what? So there's probably a world, almost certainly there's a world where we're going to be uploading multiple files. So we'll probably want to change our API to allow that. But for right now, we currently don't. But we'll get there. We'll get there, right? So here we have our home drop down. This, we have the files, and it's an array of files. And so we can kind of do const, not status, conversions. And this is going to be an array of strings. And this is going to be for each file, what are we going to set it to, right? And so now we can jump back to this. Now, a lot of these, this is what's going to take up a lot of time, and I probably won't spend too much time on stream doing this, but, right, you have, do they actually have it? I want like a, what is table selection here? Yeah, we kind of want like, this is like a little, it's like a menu, but we really want like autocomplete. Right, because people are going to have potentially a lot of these. It's like, this is cute, but I don't think it's exactly what we want. What's Shad got? So it's like a select thing, right? But we want to be able to select it, not just a menu. Form. No, it's not a hover card. It's not quite a menu bar. This is close, right? This is Radix's navigation menu. It's like you could have a lot of content here. But we really want specifically like a select that has autocomplete, not just a list. Because, you know, people will be able to do this combo box. Is that what it is? Yeah. Thanks, Momin. Now we're talking. That's what we want. We want the combo box. And ideally at one point, we don't need the form version. Ideally at one point we we probably expand this into like multiple sections and everything, but I think this is just what we want to start with. So just to double check, does Next UI have a combo box? No. Of course not. So we are already in a place where we cannot only use this. All right, that's okay. This is why we have Shad UI. So let's go ahead and install Shad UI. Thank you, thank you. That was very useful. Yes, we're using TypeScript. Default is fine. What color would you like to use as the base color? We'll do neutral, I guess. That is correct. Would you like to use CSS variables for color? No. This module directory was created using a different public hoist pattern. Interesting. I don't know why that... It's kind of weird. Why'd that fail? Okay. So now we can add, right? Let's see if that actually... Oh, it's just a combination of popover. This is so crazy. Error PNPM public hoist pattern diff. This module directory is created using a different public hoist pattern. So like that doesn't work because our npm-rc public hoist pattern, if I delete that and do it again, does it work? I don't quite understand what the public hoist pattern, why that breaks it. Yes. Okay. Popover. That's definitely weird. And then the command component. Yes. So dialogue. Sweet. Okay, that's working successfully now. Very, very odd. Okay, we got our lib utils and we have our components UI. Perfect. Okay, so now we can do all this. Take a look at tremors select. Tremor so. Also, hi. Oh, they have a search select. Okay, so that's kind of the combo box. Hello, VL. How are you? Back to the task at hand. Okay, so open, popover, open combo box. Better now that I'm here. see, if we delete that button, does this button work with that button? God. We will find out. Crossing between UI frameworks seems like a dangerous thing, but we will give it a shot. Okay, so let's just try the demo to make this interesting. Restart the dev server a billion times over, refresh the page. Install things that weren't installed. Yeah. Yeah, moment. Don't want to cross, you can try downshift, give you headless functionality with a hook. React Aria also can do that if I wanted to go lower level. You say downshift? Yeah. Yeah. I think, let's see basically how far we can get with what we're currently doing to try and like build out the MVP. And then once we're past, right? Once we're past like, oh God, okay, we made it work, then we can start iterating to like, how do we make this like really, really perfect in terms of building out exactly what we want. All right, refresh. Okay. Click to upload. This was color primary. Combo box here. Close. So here we have this. Okay, so this is good. I think we just need Shad's it's like it works until it doesn't. Okay, that seems good. That seems good. And I did say no. Okay. Oh, it did update that. Oh, and then it overrode my entire Tailwind configuration. So we lost our next UI. That's a little rude. Ah, jeez. Their projects are getting a little more complicated. They're not nearly as simple as they used to be. Okay. Okay, so we're almost here. I guess this button, this is, yeah, okay. We might just have to make our own for this. That's what I think. Still, I want it to, you know, kind of be okay. Before we go absolutely hack on this. I wouldn't think that would do that, because that's not. Oh, right, this is the combo box button. That's fine. What? Here, so here's our select framework button. And now we can update our combo box. Okay. So what we're doing here, obviously, is not frameworks. What we're doing is currently just images, even though it says anything to anything, right? We're saying, okay, you uploaded this, this will be an image, and you're going to want, you know, images. Now, of course, the question is, where do we get these images? So there's a bunch of ways we could do this. One such way would be to have an API to be like, oh, you can pull down what image formats are supported. Although eventually the answer should just be everything, right? Probably not there yet. The other thing is we could actually just use our graph directly, which is kind of where I'm leaning to start. Although we need to make sure we're not pulling in a bunch of node specific stuff, right? Like here. You know, but these are like the formats that we kind of are saying we accept, and they're known to our back end, obviously, so they can be known to our front end pretty easily as well. Hey, BS. It's going well, although certainly a little slower than I thought it would be. We're basically building out part of our user interface to actually convert anything to anything. So, and this isn't even true, although I tried to add it, but it's kind of broken, but we'll get there. So basically we want to say, like, give me all the formats, and these are the formats that we allow, and go from there, right? And so this is like what? We have value and label, so probably can just make these like capitalizations or something, but that's fine. We'll just not worry too much about that. So frameworks and formats. Now we can just do like format is what we're doing, and formats. our editor a little nicer. Click to upload, select, okay. Select no format found and select format. Search formats. Okay. Select format. Okay, cool. So image.jpg is what we are. And so we want it to be like a GIF. And so we selected that. And now we want just like a giant convert button, I think. So let's go back to our upload and let's clean this up a bit. Just like give me a little understand what I'm working with, right? Okay. So we can just leave that as demo for right now. Convert any file to anything. So click to upload. This is our page, hero. We have the drop down, which has this, which is on click, which has open, which I think we want to right, we want this to be here or so. So we want to be able to define the button here. So we're passing in the drop down up here, but this is where we of course define the page drop down. When you click convert, you're going to want to have some confetti explode. I think you're onto something there, VL. I do. Or like when they download the file, right? I wonder what happens on other things. Like if I click convert now, what happens on this? It's like, okay, right? So upload complete.php, that's what we're dealing with here. And then you can download it. And so you can click download. Okay, so I think we could do something, yeah, right? Boring. We can definitely spice it up considerably and make this a lot nicer. So JPEG, I want it to be a GIF and then like click, convert here is probably what we're doing. Click to upload again. So for click to upload, this is where we need to like, where we're raising state up is what we're doing, right? If this is our home page and we're like defining the drop down as like here, then the drop zone is the thing that is currently calling use drop zone. But man, I think at least for right now, we're going to want to actually move like all this up. And there might be a nicer way to do this in the future, but I think we can just do right, and so instead of doing all this, we can just move all this. Close. Because my key binding's there. So what we're doing is we're basically just removing this component. And then if hero Hey Zoki, welcome. Okay, this button is from there. What is it? Outline, secondary, ghost, null, default. So now we pass in open, and so now here we can do open, open, open. So bouncing around, click to upload. Here's this. Select that. And if we go ahead and look at, let's see, our form before had this submit handler, right? So we can just borrow that. And here we'll do files and the length. And for now, we'll just say the first one, and we'll also do the first one here, right? Versions files, and we're gonna upload it. And then we need to wait for results. This will just be a string. Hey, welcome. We are building out our SaaS and working on the UI. And okay, so now we're gonna just set that, and then we can like change it to a download. And the best way to do this is probably gonna be to wrap all this up into a object that I haven't done yet, but that's what's gonna make the most sense, I think. What is the SaaS about? So this SaaS converts any file to anything. Anything to anything. Right now, it only does pictures because that's all we've implemented. But the idea is that it will convert any file to absolutely anything. So you can convert a picture like a JPEG to a PNG, or a GIF into a movie, or a movie into a GIF, or an audio file into an ebook. The memes are going to be amazing. Okay, that's what we're going for. Our entire marketing strategy is just going to be memes. And so what's going to make the most sense here is if we actually change how we're basically storing all of this information. So we have basically a file, and we have the conversion, and then we have the ability to like download it and the status and everything, right? And all that can just be kind of its own little property that we can do client side to keep track of it. So I think that's just what we're going to end up doing here. And before I forget, we did this quite a bit when we were playing around with our converter, where we get the extension, and then we also have to like look up the meme type. I wanted to change that to be like export meme to file extension. And then export, because we're gonna need this all the time, const file extension to meme. The file name or extension, this should give you the meme type. And the extension, yeah. So, God, for my own sanity, please. Okay, so on our page, we're going to actually just define a like file conversion. And this is going to have a file or not. And it's going to have the to, which is what you're converting it to. And then it's going to have the result. It's really just like, it's like a conversion ID, right? It's like when I submit to the API that I want to convert the file, I get back a result ID. So I guess we'll call it a result ID, which seems to be self-explanatory enough. And all these are optional types. And so instead of doing all of these, let's just go ahead and do the conversions. Instead of this, let's call it just file conversion. Right now we don't need files, and now we don't need results. And so now we can do all that here. And now we can do this here. And so this is now .file. And this is .to. And now we get a little hacky. Where we're really just going to update the first conversion with the result ID. These should be fine because we'll know they exist. And you no longer have this, you have conversions, which means we should move the type. And then feels like it's getting messy. staged files. Right, the combo box demo now needs to basically accept so we'll just call this now combo box. So this is now just combo box, the value, conversion, and so now we have to do conversion.file and conversion.this and that. It's gonna yell at these might be, but won't be because we'll only have them in here when we're mapping it in. So this can be conversion.to on value and then set value. Oh, we can't just mutate the object, we need to set it. Oh my god. Right, because we're letting them choose per one, which makes sense, but then of course we need to update the entire array when this happens. We'll make that a no op to start. Change that to that, and then when they click convert, we will have to do on click. Ooh, baby. Not happy with this code, let me tell you. This is no longer currently a form, so we don't need this. So then this can just be on convert. Okay. We need to refactor this. This is awful. Compiler error's gone, but it's still awful. So what we have, right, is some hero section. And so bubbling state up, the entire thing is the drag and drop interface, which is good. Which means we define that now at the highest reaches. The UI shifts, which you can see, so we'll have to change that so we don't shift the user interface. You can click to upload and select anything, so that's awesome. And then once we do that, we're defining our state, and here we have sort of what the user has uploaded. Make it work, make it beautiful, make it fast. Very true. First, make it work. So here you can select what format you want to go to. This isn't changing it though, so we need to update the listing conversions. And then when you click convert, whoop, right, we are uploading it, but we need to upload the 2. So let's make it work bad and then make it work better. The staged files, we need to also have set conversions passed in, because we have to update the conversions. And so when the combo box value changes, we need to call so Copilot has suggested we take all the conversions, we map them. If the one that we're looking at, right, in the map is the same as the one that we just changed, then we're going to set conversion.to. So this should let us change it to something. Oh, well, it's undefined because we need to pass it in. So set conversions, refresh, click, what, select, that was super laggy, which is a little interesting. So this should update here. Stage files. Given the conversions that we've passed in. Oh, no, this isn't gonna be, this is gonna be the value v. Okay. So now that works. So we can say image JPEG. And then when we do convert, we're going to convert this particular conversion, which is fine. And that's going to call on convert, which is the submit handler, which is only the first one, because we're just converting one file at a time. So we're going to upload it. We're going to set the result ID. And so now for the staged files, we can have something that says like conversion.result ID, otherwise this. And so if there is no conversion ID, then we're going to have a button. And if there is a conversion ID, we'll download it. So refresh. What? GIF. Clear the network. Click convert. Uploaded successfully. That gave us the result ID, right? We still need to have converted it. Could not find converters for image JPEG to GIF, which is fine because we need to, again, I told you this was gonna get me. The 2 here, right? The conversion to, this is going to be extension. We want to get the meme type. Okay, Clicked upload, open. Next.js or next UI. So we started using Next UI, but Next UI didn't have a combo box. So then we went and also added in Shad UI for the combo box, and now we're using both, and it's kind of a mess. Okay. Did I upload this? So now for our converter, select format, let's call it GIF again. Click convert. Look at our converter. Look up image GIF. Uploaded. Go here. Download. Woo! I am using, we're using Next.js version 13. But we're using the app directory. So we're using all the new framework, all the new like app directory stuff, if that's what you mean by V2. Okay. So we successfully got our file to convert. Thoughts on the app directory? All in all, I think it's good. I think React server components are very powerful. And I think it really changes, though, in general, that you're no longer, even though like this is React server components, the React server components, React itself feels like a smaller part in this new app directory, and a lot of things you end up doing are like next.js sort of specific stuff. So you're kind of slowly feels like diverging the worlds, where like you have like normal React apps which don't really do all this server side stuff, and then you have next.js app directory, which is just very different. It's fundamentally just very, very different. But I think there's a lot of performance gains when done correctly there, which is good. And there's also, you have to like rethink in a bunch of places where you're storing the state, because a lot of stuff now happens on the server. Okay. Jeez. We did it. I don't know if this is even going to install correctly on the server. We're going to find out. We're going to push it and see what happens. All right. Woo! That's... That's a good start. So this should also work on our phones, and if it actually builds successfully, then it should be working in production. I'll watch the build. And kind of see what we get here. So now we can start thinking about the code a little bit more, and what we may or may not want to do. So most of this page is going to be static and does not need to be a client component, you know, like the hero image. And then some of these things will want to be the client component. Basically, we have like this section here, which is like the current upload that you're managing for any number of files. And then everything below the fold won't be necessary, right? So if we just have like a bunch of lorem ipsum down here, let's see if Copilot helps me out here. No. Where's my, make this one smaller. Wait, your response got filtered? Why did it get filtered? Oh my God. Worthless. Absolutely worthless. Okay, so our build succeeded. So if we go to recastfile.com, here is our production version. He copies the response. It shouldn't have been filtered. It's just lorem ipsum. Click to upload. Testing. Right? Image JPEG. Give me a PNG. Convert. Okay. Now we still need to like wait a second. We haven't figured out all these details about it. And then download. Oh, file has not finished being converted. Oh, it's trying to convert the other one over and over and over again, I think. That's a bug. Prod converter. Connect. So here's our conversions, and this one, I guess it's an error. And it keeps crashing it, so we're just gonna delete that. We can do like tail 200-F. Are we back? Nope. Do I have two of these that are breaking it? Oh, I guess this one's breaking it too. Delete. Delete. Clearly there are bugs in the converter. There we go, we fixed it. Found one conversion, converted. Refresh. Nice. So we're working in production. So recastfile.com is our production version, and it's working, although it doesn't work for everything because the converters in the back end are kind of buggy. But that's okay, we'll get there. So here's our here's our front end. So it's working here, it's working prod. This is great. We need to fix up this code. Fix it up. So right now we've made the entire page a client, which is fine-ish. But recast file. ChatGPT wrote the converters. Actually, I did. ChatGPT probably would do a better job. Let's not lie. So we load this up in incognito, right? And we do Lighthouse. I just want to kind of see where we're at here, which this should be good, considering like it does nothing. But we'll, just double check our sanity. Ah, yeah. Doesn't get better than that, friends. SEO 100%. Doesn't even make sense. We have zero SEO. Okay, great. Well, I guess we're doing okay if that's our lighthouse score. This is just really, really messy code is what this fundamentally comes down to, and that doesn't make me happy. And we're gonna add more content, but the code itself is pretty messy. I love the confetti. Yeah, seriously. Chrome knows what's up, right? Where we have a lot of our state and stuff in this like staged files, which is really like a file manager when you think about it, right? Someone's going to like upload files, they want to be able to like remove files. If we just do a quick like hack on someone else's UI, convert IO, right? That was not Spotify. This, if you're just like, okay, here's my whoop, right? This is like an entire file manager, which is basically what we need to do. And they have convert for all of them, which is probably makes sense. We're not going to do anything with these services yet. So we have like, what are we going to, what are we now? What are we going to? And this is probably like an upload status. I don't actually know what the ready mark here is, right? If I try to upload like something huge, let's go to what's something absolutely ridiculous? I have documents, content. I have like my video, my last YouTube video. Like here's the screen grab from the last YouTube video. Okay, so it does say ready. So I don't know what the ready thing is. I guess that's just cute, but it's like 470 megabytes, right? They clearly didn't just upload it. So this is like your entire file manager. And of course you can just click to drag more things in if you wanted to, right? And so you have like file. They're using rough icons, just like the type. And so for a movie, it's saying I can convert it to a GIF, or I can take the audio out of it, or I can convert it, right? So what we're going to have when we build ours out is you'll be able to like turn it into even more crazy things, like text, for example. So like you could just like transcribe it. And then there's like an entire transcription service that would just happen. There's a meme maker. This is interesting. That's not super important, but this file manager, right? And then you also have like the ability to like remove it. And then you're gonna be able to convert them as well. And this might upload them one at a time. Who knows? I don't want to upload all my content. So convert any file to anything. And so building out sort of the manager, what I think this means is the staged file actually has a lot more of the logic in it. That's basically where like all the logic lays. And then the drop zone can still be the entire page. It returns open. You could have made ER diagram conver. Oh, like diagram conversion? We still can. We'll get there. Everything to everything, right? That's the goal. And so like where does the actual upload go? Entity relations. I mean, we have our graph that we're gonna be maintaining. But other than that, I'm not quite sure what you mean. So the thing I'm getting stuck on is the Dropzone returns this open call. And so I want to have that open call. Well, I guess the open call, we can just pass something in and have open call that, right? So Dropzone, we can just pass in open and then return open. No. And then on click. If we're tying all this together, I feel like is there a file format for that, Zoki? I mean, I'm thinking like UML diagrams, right? Or whatever. Probably some converter in there to convert like CSV files to God knows, like SQL. I wonder if you could convert like a bunch of CSV files into like a SQL-like database. That'd be interesting. I don't know how practical that is, but it'd be interesting. It's like build a quick database with just CSV files. And then you could like query it with SQL. It's like what Athena, like AWS's Athena service does, but you have to like use their service and you don't really get control over it. You just like send weird SQL queries into AWS land. Okay. So if this is the Dropzone and we want to pass, we want like the open thing to go from the hero, which would be like, here's the button. Now we could just have like a button that we pass into both. Define the button, define the Dropzone, pass in the button to the Dropzone, and have it merge the odd click handler. That's not pretty. All right, so let's do stage files here. Let's just make a new file for this. Let's call it file manager. And this is going to be our go forwards strategy. So you are now the file manager. So you can be file manager props. And let's see. We don't need this until we have it, so we can hide it, I guess. You're working on your own SaaS. What is it? What does it do? Tell me. I would love to hear. What do we have in React? Just a quick like icons. Otherwise we can image. We do have some of these little things, right? File images we could use, or like video or whatever formats. The other thing we could do is the noun project, direct competitor to recast. Right, you could do like PNG. and just like grab some of these, which is totally possible. I wonder, it's like SurveyMonkey, just my own, nothing special. I love that. I think it's awesome. Are you building it, I suppose, for any particular reason, or just like to practice, or are you trying to do something slightly different than SurveyMonkey? What's the angle there? SurveyMonkey does surveys. So like online surveys that you can fill out. A lot of companies use them to like get feedback. List of Mac OS icon file type icons. This exists somewhere in Mac OS. I don't know if we have a good way of getting it. Looks like we can dig through our file system. I don't want the app icon. I want the file icon. Okay, yeah. So we can definitely just dig through and kind of find them all, which would be interesting. But that's probably not worth doing right now. Learning. I love that. Still working on my coding challenge for one company. Hey, it's good, Zoki. Can we send links here? I don't know, can you? I can send links. I don't know if other people can send links. I didn't click anything to like not allow links for whatever that's worth. So if you can, paste it. Otherwise, like try pasting it without like the HTTP or something. It's available in the SF symbols. Helps if I type the password correctly. Booty boom. All right, well, we'll need to figure out how to get the symbols from here. Come back. My font book. Oh my god. So if I search like PNG, what do I get? Anything? 45 styles. Jeez. Is this it, Abdul? Can I share a link to the homepage? Yeah, of course. Made it for my friends, make it easy to take surveys. I love that. I don't even know if I can like search for the anything like. But we're digging around. Okay, we'll play with that later. Basically, icons. Icons will be good for our manager. So the file manager, you can upload additional things. You can toss more files in, right? So if we go back to our UI and you were like, I have, right, here's 3 testing files, right? 1, 2, 3. Sign in doesn't work for now. But that's kind of exactly what you would want to see, except we need more space between them. And this should probably be combo box, variant, like ghost, make it much lighter, thank you. File manager, this is going to PY4, so now we can just remove all this. And here we can do file manager. Okay, and now we can simply say files, or I guess conversions dot length greater than 0. Then we'll show you. So there's nothing here, and you can just like boop boop boop. Okay, we're getting there. This needs to be cleaned up a little bit, as does file manager. Just manages does sharing the link work? I don't know if it does or not. But if you tried to share it, I don't see it. So there's that. Okie dokie. So let's see, we don't need this. I still would love to figure out a way to get the whole Dropzone thing into its own component. The trick being we're passing open in here, right? And so if we're doing that, I could have like an open button that I pass into both of these. And then we pull out Dropzone open, and then we call the component and pass in open. So if we do right, honestly should just be. Yeah, it looks like we currently can't share links. Let me see if I can just Google that real quick. YouTube live stream. Looks like only the channel owner and moderators can post links. I don't currently have, it was a GitHub link. Yeah, I currently don't have even like, I don't have a way to moderate it. It doesn't even show me like things that I can and cannot have. It's just like, oh, no, yep, Google just blocked it. Sorry, friends. If you find me on Twitter, you can send me a link there, or X, or whatever the heck it's called. That's probably like the easiest way. Here, I'll post my thing. If you just follow me or find me on Twitter, you can like DM me any link in real time, and I can drop it in here. I mean, yeah, but like, if we're all friends in chat, you know, let the people post links. Don't tell me what I can and cannot do. This is my live stream. Okay, so if we have an upload button, are you on Mastodon? Okay, no, I'm not on Mastodon. Okay, stop it. So what I'm trying to do is I take my upload button and what I want to do is I want to pass in said upload button to, let's do Dropzone. If we move all this out, and on drop, but then I also want button No, it doesn't help at all. Leaves chat immediately. That doesn't. Right, because then we just like we're inputting it in a here as a child. What we want to do is we want to be like button. Oops, would be like whatever. How did you get so messed up, my little friend? Because you're not verified? Seriously? That's what happens on X these days? That's crazy. Jeez. You know that's BS too, because like, I get tons of people messaging me who aren't verified or whatever. I'm not even verified. So, ugh. Okay, well, there's always good old-fashioned email. How else would people do it? Like, is WhatsApp a thing? Do people use WhatsApp for this sort of stuff? I don't know. Sorry, man. That's frustrating. I think what we need to do is we need our JSX to look like this, I think. This is what we want. Don't need that, and then we can do link sharing service. Okay, yeah, you're not wrong. That's amazing. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. This is our new strategy. We are going to use a render prop, all right? So we're going to do Dropzone, and our Dropzone is going to have children. Now all is clear. Did you verify yourself like that? And here, we don't need that. We can now do children, right? And we can say something to the effect of, yeah. Google refuses to send it. Jeez. It's crazy how hard they make this. Yeah, what you could do is you could maybe just do like, if it's a GitHub link, you could just do your username and the repo name, right, on GitHub, and then we can fill in the GitHub part. That could work. Since we all know how GitHub formats their links. Okay. Button is no longer required here, so we don't need button. Okay, so what we're passing in is a function with the render prop open, and now we can do open here, which means we can do open here, which means I don't need this silliness here, which means I don't need this silliness here, don't need this here. This can stay for now. Refresh. Yeah, Prisma's great. I actually want to make a couple of videos about some of the other ORMs out there, but I am using Prisma for this project. I think it's fantastic. Let's get the camera. Look it up just a little bit as I adjust. Okay, so let's see if this works, first of all. Nice. Hero open here, drop zone, on drop. Clicked upload, what? Open, nice. Okay. So what we're doing here, I don't know if everyone here has seen this. Basically, we have this like hero section, right, which is here, and we have a button, and when you click it, we want to open up the dialog. But the dialog is from the Dropzone hook, and so we kind of want to isolate this away as much as we can. And so the Dropzone hook here now has the Dropzone hook, and we're just passing through the on drop props, right? And so we kind of hit all this DOM because we don't care about it. Just like the entire thing's a Dropzone. So when you like go to drag something in, right, it shows this blue border. It's kind of hard to see on screen, but there's a blue border around the entire thing, and that's like perfect. But we also want to let them click the button. And so there's an open function that lets you click the button to get this dialog up. So this is what people want to use on mobile, which is all fine and dandy, except that's inside this component, right? It's like it's inside this component, and I need to use it outside this component. I need to use it in this button up here. So we use a render prop. So instead of having the children be just JSX, the children of the drop zone, it's actually a function. And if the children is a function, instead of just using children, what we're doing is we're using children and we're passing in, we're calling children as a function and passing in any of these properties that we want to expose to the child. And you can see that this is actually one of the ways they do it here is on this whole drop zone thing, right? They use render props here to say, we're going to pass in the root props and input props, and then you can put it on whatever elements you want. And so we're just kind of doing the same thing to get access to the open, and maybe we can just use, their implementation, but hooks are cool. And so now we have access to the open function because we pass it through, which means the code here is much more clean. And we have the drop zone with the open function, which we pass to our hero. And then we're just going to have kind of each of the, components that we need down the rest of the page. And so now if we refresh, you can just click this and select something, and you get your whole file manager, and you can convert it to whatever you want. So there we go. That's basically exactly what we wanted to do. Now there's going to be a lot of fun tweaking of words here. Oh, thank you, Zoki. I will gladly take a look. So the question is, what next? So I think we need to do a little work on our file manager component. I have a little bit of time left here before we will stop for the day. But for our file manager, we can like convert this to like kilobytes. We can maybe add a little icon, and then this is just the meme type, which, you know, we could probably be a little nicer. The conversion button, we might want to just make one global one. So you just do that. If you click to upload again, it overwrites it. So that's not great because we're only kind of supporting one file at the moment. But we also need to be able to like remove said file too, right? So let's see. And then we also want to be able to get like the progress, which would be fantastic. And I don't think we can get that with fetch, but let's double check. So we can use Axios. And maybe Chrome only. Oh God, that seems like way too much code compared to just using Axios. So that seems like a pretty likely situation here. So let's run through. Okay. Packaged, we have Lucide. Yes, we have Lucide React installed. So let's give a little file icon. And let's just see. They do have an image, file image. So let's just use that for right now because that's the only thing we're really supporting. Cool. And then let's see, for the name, we can do font mono. Maybe like BG neutral 100 rounded. And then of course we need some padding, so padding 2. All right, so what? And then let's see. There's probably a package for this, but I think we can just use ChatGPT. Write a TypeScript function that takes bytes and returns a So returns the human readable number and unit. Let's see if that works. Right, we want to like take bytes and returns it to so this should be human readable now. So we can go to our file manager. Okay, 27 kilobytes, so that works, but we have, you know, weird words here. So this is going to be, I believe, a great place for grid. What do we got here? One, this can be flexible. Grid calls, so like 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. How do you decide whether to use grid or flex? Flex is useful when you want the elements inside your space to define how big they are. And grid is very useful when you want the grid to define how big each of the columns are. And so for this, because we're going to move some of the stuff around, so bear with me. This button is gonna go like here, and we're gonna, you know, surround the entire thing with this div, and then this can disappear, and then this is going to turn into right, so here, this isn't perfect yet, but the file manager is going to basically have a row for each of these, and so we want them all to be the same size, and so we're going to use that to be like the grid's going to define the size for what each of these is going to look like, and then we'll just kind of fill in each of the columns, and so that way it's going to look consistent even when we have multiple rows. Whereas if we're using flex, then if like the name is longer in one place than another place, that's going to kind of move all the elements around, and we don't want that here. So grid is going to make more sense for this. So in next.js app router, how do I get the params from the URL? It depends which params you're looking at. If you're doing like a URL parameter like this, where you have the square brackets, then it's passed in as the params in the second, either in the properties or for an API route, it's like the request and then you do params, and these are the params that you get. So like this is how you would do that, right? So this gets you the ID. So it's always called params, and then within the params you have whatever word you used here for like slug, key, ID, whatever. But this is how you do it. Is it the same with JS? Yeah, it's the same with JavaScript, although you won't have the types, right? So you would just have, it would just be this, and then your code, you would have to do params.id. So it's the same thing, you just don't get types. Okay, so obviously that's not going to be correct forever, but so Tailwind, yeah, no problem. So grids are also like mind-boggling crazy in what you can do with them, and so I'm gonna see how much I can do from like the right. This is like our grid columns, start and end. Yeah. So basically grids are just insane, and so we just want this. So the grid columns, right here, we have our convert any file to anything, click to upload, cool. So we have like they're all evenly spaced, right? But that's not really what we want. We want this to be small. We want this to expand. We want this to be small. We want this to be small. And so instead of saying like we just have 4 evenly sized columns, we do this, which defines each column. So the first column is going to be 50 pixels, and then the second column is going to be either the minimum of 900 or as much as possible. That's way too big, so we'll do like minimum of 400 or as much as possible. The third column will be 100, and then the last column will be, call it 200. And there you go. So now this one, right? It's all just like this inner here. This is 50. This is as big as it needs to be. This is 100, and this is 200, right? So by defining it here, this is what you get, and this is almost perfect, except, right? This we want like padding on the inside, so it's not right up against it. So now that gives it a little breathing room. The file image, we know how big this is. We probably want a little bigger. It's like 16 by 16. So we should I think make it a little bigger. Ooh, that's too big. Yeah, that seems about right. This is always zoomed out, right? And so now it's like 32 by 32, right? So we can just make the first column, exactly 32 by 32. And then let's give it a little breathing room too, right? So, and so padding 2 on the column means you have 0.5, which computed is 8. So 8 and 8, 16, right? So looking at like 48 as the pixel size. I think we might want that to be here. Yeah, that's a little nicer, right? So it's exactly 48 pixels. And then this kind of similar. We I don't mind how we're stylizing it, at least right now, but I want the name to not necessarily expand all the way across with the grayness. So we'll just wrap it in a div, and so it doesn't do that. And then 27 kilobytes, thank you ChatGPT, and then you can select a format, PNG. So now we can zoom back in, and then our conversion button at the bottom will convert it. Now, once we convert it, let's see, I don't need that in here. Once we convert it, right, we go and upload it. I guess we need the ability to remove something here, right? So we'll do button, and this will be X icon. Cool, we'll do variant outline. Right, and so again, here we have 200, but we're gonna add another column, 50 pixels. Now we just get this, magic. And so this is going to remove it. Okay. Light might look better on the button. This is the, I think this is the Shad UI button instead of the Next UI button. But yes, we'll definitely play around with the theme. Okay, so what JPEG here? So now, right, our UI changes a little bit more, where when you click convert, we're going to fire it off, we're going to convert it. We want to be able to track the upload, which would be really cool to have like a little boop, 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 progress bar. Confetti on deletion too. Confetti for everybody. What did you use for that? Was that like React confetti? Confefe. Something like that. Confetti canvas. Confetti, confetti. Canvas confetti? You did it! Well, we can make sure nobody is going to ever come back. Oh my god. Okay. Jeez. I'm going to have a seizure from that. And let's scroll all the way down. That's where I stole it from. It just doesn't stop. Really? On like the next UI. Who scrolls all the way down? Last but not least. Oh. Handle confetti. Too much confetti. Same for this one, actually. Right, our button, combo box, pop over button here, Give everything a little breathing room. And once you click convert and we upload it and we convert it, you really can't change anything, right? So we probably need to have sort of this entire thing like locked, so to speak. So the user can't just be like, oh, I'm going to click convert and then we're going to like change stuff. So, but it doesn't really make sense. I mean, you could just disable it, but you really kind of want to most likely change this user interface here to be like, well, once you click convert, we're just going to like whoop, convert, and then you click download. So, but what we can do for the meantime, all right, Zoki, have a good night, man, is if there is no conversion ID, right? Then you can have these two. And if there is one, then you can download it. So click to upload, upload, select format, PNG. Convert. Now we still need to like track the status with the status API. We'll get there. In the meantime, just look at our little, we converted it. And now you can click download, boop, and it downloads. So this can actually be a button or a link, question mark? Well, I guess Shad, let's see, Shad has something for this. Let's go back to components. I think you can do like, right, you can do as child to create links that look like buttons. Okay, that works too. Or this works. So this will just be a regular link though, because fight. Now you have a download button, which is good. Honestly, for this, we're probably going to end up hacking together our own, is my feeling. Like, we'll base it off of probably Shad with a sprinkle of Next or something like that. Okay. Okie dokie. Man, this can be so much cooler, right? I don't think we're gonna have time to do it right now, but you need like, what's gonna happen is if you're not doing something like a simple conversion, you're gonna want to, it's gonna progress through like multiple phases, right? So you're gonna have like this file and it's gonna go like whoop, 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 whoop. It's gonna have like steps as it does the the conversion, and then at the end, like the download button can like become active, which will be super slick. Okay, but this is pretty good. I think the biggest thing really is just this button. If we go to our database, and look at like our conversion, right? We have a status, and we want to read that status, which we can do. We just don't want to activate this button. So we have kind of like a download button, most likely, right? Download button. Export const download. This is actually, right, this doesn't have anything to do with Shad, so can we do this? Solid, bordered, oh, that's, we want color, right? Success, there we go. So they don't do that convention. So back to next UI, components. Do they have a link? Loading, custom styles. They do have a link, but I want it to be a button. Button link. Okay, so type props. Now we can just do result ID. Props, and then client component, we can do good morning, welcome. We are finishing up our user interface v1 to convert any file to anything, although probably will be anything to anything at one point. And what this is going to do is this is just going to Prisma I don't think I can do this. I think it's going to explode in my face because I can't use Prisma on the client, even though I just want the conversion status. I don't think I can do this. But we'll try. And then this we're going to do const res equals await fetch. Hey! Welcome, Caesary. Wait, did I already welcome you? Oh. Zohaib. Did you not subscribe already? I thought you were already a subscriber. But if you weren't, welcome. Hi. Thank you. I appreciate it very, very, very much. Thank you for your subscription. And then we can get the status, and then we can set the, I guess we can just call this status instead of state. Set status. So that's what we get from this status endpoint, right? Status, status, status. So the download button now, and then this can simply be disabled or is disabled, not sure which one. If status does not equal conversion status dot done. All right, so this is our little download button, which we can now use in the file manager with the result ID being passed in. So I don't name that. All right. So I need to do a hard refresh because we restarted view. This is going to execute once. So what we really want is this is going to be set interval. Okay. All right, let's give it a shot. So click to upload, what? And select format, PNG, and convert that uploads. A cannot appear as a descendant of A. That's okay. So this as link, which means I think we can just move the href attribute right here, right? Sorry, friends. I need to zoom out. All right, what's the status? Pending. 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 It is pending. Oh, I exited that accidentally. Unpenned. Unpenned. Done. Okay, well, it's hard to know because we don't have our UI for this apparently. Oh, you know why? I think I know why this happens. Installation, framer motion. We need to go back here. So tailwind. Yeah, again, it got deleted. Yeah. Download. Woo! All right. Successfully downloaded the file. Let's push. Okay. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting much closer. What we can do is we can move this here and then flex and justify end to move this button over to the end. And then we can give it a little bit of breathing room. Oh my God. Come back. Some padding, probably just vertical actually though. We'll want to update kind of that. Okay. Honestly, not bad. Could certainly get a lot better with some graphics and whatnot, but kind of here nor there. Now, this entire thing basically is, you know, a glorified form. So we're probably going to want to do a little bit of form magic here to make that better. And, whoops, hit the microphone. That might involve using React hook form to kind of manage all of these different properties inside like the form itself. Is something that I am thinking about. But yeah, this is pretty good. There's a couple things broken-ish in in the converter, which I had noticed before, basically, if this conversion fails, then it crashes. That's okay, but this just breaks. So I think the play is to wrap this as a try. So you can download it, you can get the converters, you can return, you can convert, and then if the conversion fails, right, we want to update it with an error. And so then we know it's an error status, and then the status should no longer break all the time. Okay. So now that's good. We'll deploy that a little later. So I kind of want my icon. Let's see. So next.js, I was playing around favicon. So I can do icon.png. Okay. Right, does that work? Okay. So I was playing with, let's see, documents, converter, with this. This is Midjourney. But if we do just icon, yeah, doesn't look like much, unfortunately. I think we could be a little more. But we have a icon now. So that's good. And then we can probably do, right, in our app page, everything's in here, main, let's call it I don't know how big we want to get. feels a little big, but I think we need to zoom out. No, I think this just needs to be bigger. Okay, so definitely can make that. It would probably be super aggressive, right? If someone's drag and dropping. Okay. We'll add some sort of, let's see, container. What's up with the container here? 32. Right, where'd that come from? Styles, class, something. Something adds. Padding right, padding left. That's interesting. Is that everything? Did the container always do that? I thought it just added a max width. Yeah, definitely. So something's fun. Something's adding padding to the container, which is probably from like Next UI. It's a little interesting. We can just, I think, remove all that by doing this. Yeah, that's better. Too much padding. Okay. Yeah, definitely a little surprising. Well, now we get to make it work good on mobile, huh? So minimum of 400, which of course flies off the page. So where are we going? We're going back to components, the file manager, our grid. But we can just do like medium for this, right? And then define the smaller one. Yeah, so we'll need to wrap. Grid does not wrap by default. But you can make it wrap. So grid flow, let's try that. So I think we'll just want to change our column spans, basically. So, right, to be like, something, and then for small, so for the name, we can do class name. For medium, it can just be grid, what was it? Call span 2, call span 1, but then for anything smaller, it's gonna be like call span 4, take up like the entire row, right? And so now this is like part 1 of the grid. This takes up the entire row. Maybe you want the kilobytes up there, so call span 3, kilobytes are up there. And so then this can just be we'll need to change all this, but call span like 5. And then for larger screens, call span 1, right? So then this takes up the entire row. But probably just really want to would have the file icon aligned center on the left and the rest of the form stacked on the right. I think it actually is just going to make a lot more sense to, like, on mobile, make this much more like a card user experience and not like a row user experience. I think that's going to actually make a lot more sense. And we'll just have a totally different UI on small screens than we do on large screens, instead of trying to like make this work, right? Like on a larger screen, having a card, I think, doesn't quite make as much sense. You're like, yeah, like you have plenty of room to kind of just show this information. And you're gonna want this drop down anyways to be like, you know, large and in charge, because we'll have a billion formats, right? But on a smaller screen, none of that really makes sense anymore. Where like this drop down, it's gonna like take up a large portion of the screen to be like, choose what you want this to be. It's almost like a detail selector, you know, where it's gonna like be probably more of a popover, and you can like, oh, I want this to be like a picture PNG, right? Is sort of my thinking here. And so instead of trying to force it in this little row, I think it's just going to make sense to have a totally different UI. But that's better than it was, certainly. We can make this call span 4 and get the close button up there. So not perfect, but better than what it was, with a little bit of finicking around. Yeah, it's a feature. All right, let's double check our build, make sure we didn't catastrophically break anything. Looks good. Okay, I think here, 340, this is where we're going to stop. So for anyone who stuck around, thank you. If you go to recast file, you can play around with this. It works, with air quotes around works, for some semblance of production. I'll drop the link into chat because I can do that. Currently converts any file to anything is a big lie, but it can upload and do conversions for some types of image formats. And I think we're going to live in that world for a little bit, trying to get the entire user interface right around formats, getting it really good on mobile, and then kind of figuring out the rest of what the homepage looks like to convince people that we are not trying to just like do anything nefarious. But that should all be working well in production. So if you have feedback, I would love to hear it. And yeah, thank you for stopping by. Feel free to shout out any suggestions or questions in the chat. Hopefully Thursday, the stream will start on time and be a little less chaotic. And if you have any thoughts, let me know. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day. Thanks, VL. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out and sticking around. We're going to keep working on Recast and see how far we can get it and what that kind of looks like. Until next time, bye.